good morning, and welcome to Morning Brew on Politics Social. I'm Graham Hughes. It is Friday, the 18th of October, 2024, and I don't have a hat. I came home with it last night, I was pretty sure. Woke up this morning, no hat. So there's no hat today. I hope we'll find it. Anyway, big shout out to everyone in the chat there. We've got City Life 2050, we've got Plum Duff, we've got Gallifrey and Wren, always good to see it. We've got Peter Carter, Pygmalion in there, Rick Parkin, Reagan Elite. We've also got Scott in there. Hello, Scott. I just want to say big hello to everyone, and if you would like to join the chat, all you need to do is just hit the subscribe button, just hit it, and wait for 30 seconds, and you're in. So we're going to talk about the budget, which, I think if I was going to have this discussion with Phil, he'd be like, this is a bit presumptuous, because we don't know what's going to be in the budget yet. But there is some murmurings of a possible Commons revolt, a cabinet revolt led by Angela Rayner, over the scale of the cuts that are being proposed. Now, Labour are saying, probably correctly, that the Tories have left the nation's finances in an absolute mess. But at the same time, we are desperate not to go back to austerity, because that would be absolutely everything that we didn't want when we voted for Labour, or at least voted to get rid of the Tories. We didn't vote out the Tories to have more Tory nonsense going on. It's like austerity. So then Labour are saying on one hand, it's not going to be an austerity budget. It's not going to be. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. And yet, the tricky thing is that they're now saying they're going to be cutting sickness benefits, and this is something that is really, really concerning. Disability groups have voiced their concern about this, and I'm sure some people watching this, you rely on the benefits that you get, the crappy benefits that you get at the moment after 14 years of Tory misrule. And to keep on that track, I think, is a huge error for Labour if they do it. But this was reported in The Independent this morning that they are, seriously considering continuing on with the Tory plans to cut the number of people on sickness benefits. And one of the big issues that that we have in the world today is that it's not just the fact that you're not well, it's the system that makes you feel even worse, because the system says, we're going to make it really difficult for you to claim. We're going to put obstacles in the way. We're going to make it so you can't make one small, tiny mistake on anything. We're going to give you a 46-page document to fill out, and if you put one letter in the wrong place, that's it. You don't get anything. And I know that sounds like I'm being a bit extreme when I say that, but it's not far off what we have in this country at the moment. Not just in this country, but all the countries are doing this as well. They put obstacles in the way of people claiming what they're owed by the state. This is the social contract that we all sign up to by staying in this country, by being a citizen of this country. We sign up to a social contract that says that we give up some of our rights in order for the government to do things that are for the benefit of society. And I can't see how putting obstacles in the way of disabled people getting their allowance, getting their benefits, getting the money that they are owed by us, by the state, is a good thing. We can talk about the winter fuel allowance, which obviously the Tory press have been making a huge thing about this. And I've said this a few times on this channel and in real life. Not that this isn't real life. I've said when it comes to the winter fuel allowance, I agree that millionaires should not be getting it. And if 1 in 5 pensioners are millionaires, or 1 in 4 pensioners are millionaires, then they should not be getting that. But the people who should be getting it, I want that not only the level to be higher than they're proposing. We won't know until the budget what exactly they're going to say the threshold's going to be. But I would like that threshold to be higher, and also gradual. So say you're in the grey zone, you get 200 quid. If you're a bit more further up, you get 100 quid. So it tapers off. It's not just, oh my God, you earned 1 penny over the limit. this year, and so you're not getting anything because it's 300 quid or nothing, and nothing in between. So someone who earns, say it's £12,000, so someone who earns £11,999 gets the £300, but the person who earns £1 more doesn't get that, and I think that's unfair. But the other thing is, and this is what I want to come back to talking about disability benefits, is we should be making it easier for people to claim these benefits, not harder. We shouldn't be putting obstacles in the way. We should be facilitating people's right to take the benefits that they are due. And we know that more money each year goes unclaimed, that could be claimed in benefits, goes unclaimed, than is taken in fraud, than is taken by a lot of these people. They say, welfare queens. I mean, it just doesn't exist. These people that they make up in the media who have 17 children, and then they get a free house. No, they don't. They don't get it. It's not theirs. You do understand that, don't you? They don't give people a house. They can stay in the house, but there'll be probably come a point where they have to pay rent. Or they're paying rent and it's paid for by the council or the government. But it's not theirs. We're not giving people free prizes. Oh, you're poor. Here, have a free car. We don't do that. So yeah, it's a bit galling that Labour might be going down this Tory light route of saying, well, we're not going to necessarily cut benefits, but we're not going to make it easy to get benefits. I think either of them we don't. I don't want to see that, and I can see people like Angela Rayner kicking off about this. If this is the case, they are not going to be happy. They're not going to go trot out onto the TV shows and say what a great budget it is if this is what we do. And it is eternally frustrating that you've got two forces here when we talk about the budget. You've got the shit that the Tories have left us in, but also the fact that Britain is a rich country. There is plenty of money sloshing around. It's all held by about 56 individuals, but there is a lot of money. I would rather see ways of tapping that money and increasing benefits. And they're talking about this, but then they were going to bring in higher rates on capital gains tax, which I agree with, and apparently that might be up for the debate now. I didn't think it was. I thought that was a done deal. They're talking about raising national insurance. That would affect everyone. They said that these tax rises wouldn't affect working people. It's a bit of a mad way of putting it because everyone works, but in one way or another, or they worked. The idea that we're going to put up national insurance, well, that's going to be a tax rise on working people. So that'd be going back on a manifesto promise. So if they do that, that's not going to look too good for them. They have actually spelt out in the manifesto the taxes that they are not going to raise: VAT, income tax, and another one. A national insurance hike is not something that I think many of us would welcome, given the current cost of living crisis. One Angry Pagan, £5 super chat, thank you very much. Many Labour MPs got in seats where population is socially / economically conservative. Sad as it is, our democracy demands their views are heard out too. I get that, One Angry Pagan. Oh God, that's the wrong thing. I do get that, mate, that the people who voted for Labour are not just one homogeneous group. And a lot of people who did vote for Labour in this election wanted the Tories out more than anything else. But by getting rid of the Tories, they didn't want more Tories. And that's why, the media's trying so hard to wrap these scandals around the necks of the Labour Party. And it's like, come on, please. Thank you very much. That's from Roger. A small sub towards New Hat. Oh, thank you, Roger. I really hope I haven't lost it. €10 super chat. There's a picture of me on the underground about 11:30 last night, and I'm wearing the hat. I sent my girlfriend a picture of me wearing on the underground, going, "Oh man, I'm heading back." So yeah, but I did walk. I did walk quite a long way. And One Angry Pagan says, not that I agree with this direction. I don't. Thanks, One Angry Pagan, for the super chat. Yeah, I get what you're saying, and I get that you don't want Labour to go down this route, and I don't want Labour to be seen as this, the horror show that a lot of Corbyn supporters or other, supporters of other parties have been telling us that it's going to be. I don't want them to be proved right. For more than just ego reasons. Optimistic nihilist, thank you very much. Absolutely disgusted by this red Tory government. If they don't change this soon, I'll never vote for them again. I know disabled people who are being made more ill by the stress of not getting support. Yeah, absolutely optimistic nihilist. You're right, because what I was saying before is it's not just being ill, it's the mental strain of having to jump through all the hoops and feeling like you're not a valued member of society because, oh God, do we have to pay for people who are not feeling well? Yes, we do, because we live in a country that looks after its citizens. It's as simple as that. Ivan Ambrose, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. It's a talk of national insurance rises on employers, not employees. Oh, okay. Good. Ivan there pulling me back from the brink of ignorance. Sorry, I just saw it as national insurance yesterday, and I didn't actually read up about it because I was busy. What else have we got in there? I'm on benefits, been on for 20 years, and never likely to be able to work again, says Alan. I get panic attacks when I get brown envelopes from the DWP. Yeah, like those panic attacks, mate. I'm really sorry that happens to you. Those panic attacks are like, they're not a glitch. Do you know what I mean? They want you to feel bad about having to ask for money. And do you know what? People feel bad about asking for money at the best of times. And it's a horrible situation to put people into. It's like making people feel bad about using the NHS for life-saving. Well, not even life-saving. They've been injured, they're ill, they're sick, they've got whatever it is. You shouldn't be making people feel guilty about being ill in the same way that you shouldn't make people feel guilty about needing money to survive and society providing that money. That is the social contract. I am happy to pay into the pot to help other people. Like, I don't have kids of my own, for instance, but I am happy to pay for the education, not all of them because they don't have that kind of money, but the education of other people's children. That's fine. That's the social contract, and I have no problem with it. But I do have a big problem with if Labour do this. And do you know what? A lot of this is hypothetical. We don't have the details. They haven't announced the budget. This is all leaks and hearsay and stuff like that. So I'm hoping that maybe they're doing this thing where they go, well, here's what we could do, and get everyone a little bit concerned. And then they show us what they actually do. And we're like, oh, God, that's a relief. But if they are doing that, I think that's a bit shitty as well, because it is making people like Alan and other people in the chat, I'm sure some of you watching this now, feel very concerned, especially if you are on sickness benefits, and they're even talking about cutting them or reducing them or easing the burden in some way. It's not a burden. People are not burdens. People are the very essence of the lifeblood, literally the lifeblood of this country. And everyone, even people who commit crimes need to be looked after in a jail for them, if they're not rich, I guess. But the number, I've said this before as well, the number one job of any government anywhere in the world is to protect its citizens. That's it. Protect them from foreign invading armies, protect them from disease, protect them from pandemics, protect them from squalor, from destitution, from homelessness, protect them from violence, protect them from all this stuff that our government for the last 40 years has been terrible at protecting us from. Protect us from con artists, disinformation artists, people going on the internet, spreading lies, mistruths, rumours about someone who's done something horrific, and they go, it must have been a Muslim who did this, and that lie gets around the world before the truth has got out of bed. Captain Bart Roberts, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Try the Tube, Lost Property Office, Graham. Oh, thank you, Captain. I will give them a call in a bit. I really can't believe that I would have taken it off on me way home. It just doesn't seem like something I would do. But I'm going to turn this place upside down when when I'm done with the show. I was a little bit late starting it because I was literally looking for my hat. Every action has a possible knock-on. I could see there being some from ER's NIC, but it would show less increases down the line than take-home dropping now. And hopefully growth offsets. Well, yeah, we want a growth budget. That's what we're being promised, a growth budget, not an austerity budget. Joanna says, personally, I would love to go back to work. I really, really miss the money. But, it's no longer possible for me. Joanna, yeah. And look, there are so many people in your boat who genuinely would like to work but can't. And you shouldn't feel bad about that, It's just a shit circumstance that the government shouldn't be, and the tabloids shouldn't be demonising you and going, oh, how dare you not be fit to work. It proper winds me up, and we talk about the level of care in this country. I find it absolutely abhorrent that as more and more people are getting dementia, because cancer and dementia seem to be the only way to punch your ticket these days. Like most other things have been cured. No one dies of smallpox. Dementia is a really horrific, debilitating disease, and it's horrific for the people around the person who has dementia. And if you're watching this and you know someone you know and love has dementia, my heart goes out to you. I know what it's like. And yet the government's stance on this is when someone can no longer take care of themselves and they need carers to come in, that those care services have been sold off to the private companies. So private companies come in 4 times a day, and unless you're on palliative care, you got to pay for it. And oh my God, it's expensive. It's ridiculously expensive. Now, if you had cancer and you are getting, people coming to the house to, clean you up and everything, that's paid for. That's fine. But when it comes to dementia, this is the dementia tax. People have ended up losing their homes because their partner, spouse, whoever, is having to pay for these incredibly expensive visits 4 times a day. And when someone has a dementia, you don't know how long they're going to last. You don't know how long they're going to hang on for. It could be weeks, it could be months, it could be years. And you've got to pay for that unless they're technically in palliative care. In which case it's free, which I think it should be for everyone who needs that service. It should be there for people. If they've worked all their life, like my dad, for instance, he worked all his life. He worked way past the age of 65. He had his own business. He employed people. He paid his taxes. Like, the state should look after him. And the idea that you get to that age and it's like, oh, sorry, you're on your own now, mate. You'll have to sell everything that you've spent your whole life building up. It's horrible. It's abhorrent. And again, when we look at these kind of cruel Tory policies, always have in the back of your head this question: does it affect the rich? No. They can afford it. BUFC, it was pretty obvious when they refused to say how they would achieve the growth. They were adamant it would happen. I did say it would either be an austerity budget or PFI 2.0. And Nick says the Labour leadership deserve all the criticism that they get re the so-called EU-UK reset. Starmer needs to ditch the Theresa May Tribute Act and put country before party. I think Nick really wants us to rejoin the EU. I get that impression, Nick, that you're not happy with the way that they're treating this. The Labour MPs I've spoken to have just said, look, when we were knocking on the doors, it just didn't come up on the doorstep at all. Like that and PR didn't come up. Voter reform, no one was talking about voter reform. They were all talking about the cost of living and everything just costing too much, and people just, we're not living anymore, we're just surviving, we're just making it from day to day. And number 3 said, I had zero support from the state when I was widowed, not even a letter. That's terrible, Richard. I'm so sorry, mate. I'm so sorry. And this is like not the society that I want to live in. It's not a society that I want to build for future generations. I want a society that looks after everyone, because that is the duty of society. It's the duty of government and also society. We need to look after each other better, and we don't. We put people on pedestals we don't know because they're rich or they're charismatic in some way, And it's not the right way to it's not the right way to build for the future. It really, really isn't. I'm really sorry to hear that, Richard. Peter says, how much money could be saved if they got rid of disability assessments, paying private companies for inaccurate in assessments? Yeah, absolutely. Victoria says, agree about dementia. My grandmothers both became exhausted looking after my grandfathers, who both had dementia. Both grandfathers had to go into care homes towards the end. Yeah, and that's another disgraceful thing, like carers allowance. It should be way more. It should be way more than what it is. The fact that it's like £48 a week or something absolutely ridiculous. If you're looking after someone with dementia full time, you can't leave them alone in a house. If they're mobile, maybe if they're bed bound, but then you don't really want to be leaving them. But like, if they're mobile, they can stand up, they can walk out the house. When my dad was getting to that point, we were having to put the mortise lock on the door and hide the key so he wouldn't just wander out into the road. And you've got to be there the whole time. And it's not even like you get time off for like to sleep even. Like, this is a 24-hour job. I mean, you can sleep, but you've got to be in the house. You can't go and leave them for the night and go, oh, they'll be fine, they're asleep. It doesn't work like that. They get up in the middle of the night and wander off or hurt themselves or fall down the stairs. And this idea that, we'll just give them 50 quid a week. Are you kidding me? I'm trying to get a train home today from London, and I'm really seriously considering getting the megabus, but I won't be able to do the show tonight if I get the megabus because it takes too long to get back. I'm going to have to go after I do the show at 1 o'clock with Phil. I'm going to pack up my stuff and head back up to Durham. And it's 87 quid. One way, 87 quid for the train today. Just infuriating, doesn't even cover it. One Angry Pagan, thank you very much. I said, I'll wait a year before I judge Labour's performance for a reason. Many problems coming in second parliamentary breaks. Blair and had benefit rows too from the start. Yeah, One Angry Pagan, you're right, they did. And there is a point here where we need to say, at the moment, we don't know what's gonna be in the budget. We've got some leaks, we've got some people, pundits, saying what they think's going to happen. We've had some rumours about possible dissension in the ranks, but we don't really know. And it's a bit wrong of us to judge before it comes out. However, the reason why we're talking about it this morning is because I really wanted to talk about the fact that even Labour saying or putting out or leaking or whatever, the idea that they're going to somehow come down on sickness benefits is disgraceful. I don't want that. I don't want Labour doing that. Even I'm hoping that it's not true. If it is true, I'm going to be even more pissed off. But even if it's not true, and it's just something that someone came out with, but it's not actually going to happen, I think it's really bad that Labour are even discussing that, because it's sickness benefit. It's for people who are already ill. By raising their anxiety for the next week and a half while we wait for the budget, you're just literally going to make them more ill, because your mental health and your physical health are intrinsically entwined. Like, that, you can't separate the two. It's why people, not everyone, but, if people sort of give up, the illness gets worse. And it's because your body goes, all right then, and having a positive attitude can really, really help with, when you're ill, getting better faster, not getting ill in the first place even. And you see things like the placebo effect, where you can give someone a pill and say, this is the magic pill that will cure you, and it's not, it's a sugar pill. But because of the belief, because of the idea, because of the positive thinking, it does actually make them better. And this isn't just touchy-feely stuff. This is actual medical stuff that you can actually see it going on inside people's stomachs and stuff. Stomach ulcers get smaller, and it's not because of they've been given medicine for that. It's literally because they think that they're getting better, and so the body goes, okay, we're getting better then. We'll take out that ulcer. Actual demonstrable evidence that placebos work if you believe in them. And being a cynical bastard, I don't believe in them, so they don't work for me. But that's another story. I'm going to talk about the movie I saw last night in a moment, but first I'm going to read some of your chat. Nick and Div saying, is this all hearsay? This is what's being reported in the newspapers at the moment. And so until the actual budget comes out, we just don't know. My point isn't that like we shouldn't be talking about this. I mean, or hypothesizing what might happen. I think that's always good to sort of, have at least thought experiments of like, well, what could happen if they do this or that happens or whatever. But I was really picking out on the whole. I don't want people feeling like they're worrying about disability benefits. It's not a realm that I think the Labour should be touching with a stick. I mean, unless they're going to make it better, unless they're going to make it easier for people who are sick, who are ill, to be able to claim the benefits of which they're due, get their money back. Very Striper Zebra says, easier to withhold money than to claw money back. Captain Bob Robert says, public transport is about stuffing as many people into a small volume as possible. I always feel now how toothpaste feels in the tube. Optimistic Nihilist says, perception is everything in politics. If people don't feel the benefit or have any hope, they will withdraw and back extreme ideas. Labour's comms is a joke. Well, Optimistic Nihilist, we've talked about Labour's comms many times on this channel. We are not fans. Let's put it that way. And Sarah saying it's already affecting me. I'm losing out of fear. Sarah, look, I want to be able to say something comforting and say, look, at the moment, we don't know. But if it does come to it that Labour do this and actually start cutting sickness benefits, then I'm going to be on the front row of the protests. I'm going to be writing to my MP, who's pretty good on this kind of stuff, and I will be getting pretty much everyone I know to write to them MPs about this particular thing, because I don't want this to happen. This is the one thing I would rather take more, have my tax as a working person raised than people who are on sickness benefits have their benefits cut or make it more difficult for them to claim in the first place. Thank you, Jim Bob Robob. $5 Australian. Well, it will be an Aussie hat, so thank you very much for that super chat, mate. That's really kind of you. All I can afford towards a new hat right now. Thank you. Luna X, regardless of who people voted for, one thing is clear. The country voted to get rid of the Tories. Labour continuing in their steps is undemocratic and not what they had a mandate for. Yeah, Luna. You're right. Vendetta says, I cannot wait until my letter's done because it's about 10 pages of notes. Bloody hell. Nick and Div says, I'm not going to listen to hearsay and scaremongering. I'll listen to the budget. Suggests everyone else does too. This panic is not helpful. I don't think it's unhelpful to go, this is something that Labour might be considering, because look, we've got a week and a half, and if they're going, we'll just test the water, we'll just say this and then see what happens, see what the reaction is. If the reaction is one of like, who cares, then they'll be like, okay, well, we can do this. Whereas if it's a bit like, oh my God, if you do that, you're going to be in so much trouble, then they might tone it down or reconsider it entirely. I don't know. They've got a week and a half. They've got work. They've got work to do. Placebo says, placebos number 3 says, placebos do work. I provided that to a registrar once who injected the patient at my request with a saline solution, saying this may help. Her pain relief was immediate. Yeah, it's crazy. The placebo effect and the nocebo effect. Thank you very much to One-Eyed Pagan. Fear is poison. I'm waiting for facts. And David Watto saying, nice mug. It's not mine, it's Heather's. Hello. It is a nice mug, though. Luna is saying they picked up right where the Tories left off, that 14 years never stopped. Well, Luna, I'm sort of torn a little bit here because I am not happy with Labour comms. I'm not happy that this stuff is coming out, and this is why we're discussing it. If they hadn't said anything, if nothing had been leaked, if nothing had been said to the newspapers, or however this has got out, or then I wouldn't be talking about it at all. But the fact that we are kind of pisses me off. Labour comms, don't get me started. But at the same time, we need to talk about what we want to see in this budget. And I want to see, tax rises for the rich, massive tax rises for the rich. And they'll say, we're going to leave. They never do. It's a big lie. The ones who've got to leave have already left. They live in Bermuda. Do you have a P.O. box, says Captain Bart Roberts. I'm afraid I don't, my friend. Although that would be a good idea. Send me a hat to a new P.O. box. It might be here. It might be under a table or something, or under the couch. Or I don't know. I will look for it. Hopefully I'll find it. Andrew Ray says, finally getting my knee replacement on Tuesday after last stop postponed. I noticed how much a better attitude in the NHS already. Staff all seem to be happier. Yeah. And that's something as well. Just give me 1 second. I'm just going to move my chair. That's something as well. When the Tories were taken out of power, like the did seem to be a mood shift in the country, like a weight had been taken off our collective shoulders for a lot of people, and so in some ways Labour have got a bit of an impossible mountain to climb, but the way they go up, the way they go about it is what's going to be the result of the next general election. If they make people feel like they're better off now under the Labour government than they were under the Tory government, they'll get another 5 years. If, however, they make people feel like just the same as they did under the Tories, like we had this massive burden on our shoulders, then they're going to lose, because that landslide victory wasn't... It's very wide, but it's quite shallow. And they only got 34% of the vote. But that was enough to give them over 100 MPs more than any other party. And Anthony Fisher says, hoping Uncle Phil can set things straight later. Yeah, we're going to be talking about this a little bit in the agenda later, and other stuff to do with what's going on at the moment. Thank you very much for the super chat there, Anthony. I want to talk a little bit... I've got to go. God, that went quick. I want to talk a little bit about 2073, which is the new Asif Kapadia film that I watched last night. So... it's good. It's sort of like half documentary, half drama. So it's set in the future, and it's got Samantha Morton in it, and she plays a forager who goes out into the world and forages for stuff. And the surveillance is everywhere. They monitor everything you do and everything you say. And then it goes back in time to now and starts talking about. It's like goes into documentary mode, because Asif Kapadia is a documentary maker, Oscar-winning documentary maker who made Amy and Senna, and it was talking about Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, Donald Trump, all this like dark money, misinformation, disinformation, the creeping authoritarianism of the world under Modi in India, Putin in Russia, Xi in China. And we're seeing, obviously, and the Tories are in there as well, of course, Heritage Foundation, Tufton Street, all that kind of stuff. And it goes forward in time and shows what the world would be like if we let these effers get away with what they're doing. And it was good because it shone a light on people like Peter Thiel, who's the co-founder of PayPal, who is a monster. He's an absolute monster, and he funds a lot of these, mysteriously funded think tanks. It's Peter Thiel. GB News, one of the big funders of GB News, Peter Thiel. More people need to know who this guy is. So that was really good. Just on a personal note, I'll tell you a little story. So I'm sitting there, I'm on the back row, and I really need to go to the toilet. I needed to go to the toilet when it started, and I was like, I'll just hold it. It's fine. But then after about an hour and a half, I was like, really need to go to the toilet, and I thought there can't be much longer of the film to go, and I was kind of hoping to wait till the credits, but I thought, okay, so I'm gonna see, guys. It's a really, really small screening room, right? But I'm on the back row, and I tiptoe out. No one's gonna see me. And I open the door, and I open it like really quietly. It's a push door, and I push it open like this, really quietly. And I sneak out. And who's standing there in the corridor? Asif Kapadia, the director of the movie. And he's like, "Hey, Graham, the toilet's over there." And I'm like, dying! But it's fine. Anyway, so after the screening, we had a discussion in the screening room about getting out there, because it's really critical of Amazon. It's really critical of Jeff Bezos. So there's literally no chance that this movie is going to get on any streaming services anytime soon. And it getting a general release on the cinemas is going to be very, very difficult. So it was discussing ways of getting it out there. And the people in the screening was brilliant. I went with Supertansky, but Cavalcade Wada was in there. We also had Jolyon Morn from the Good Law Project was there. One of the founders of Extinction Rebellion was there as well, Claire. So like it was a really good discussion afterwards of like, how do we get this information out to people? So yeah, if on this channel we can help in some way with doing that, because Asif has given himself a little bit of a mountain to climb, because he's made a movie against all the people who have money in the world who get to decide what you get to watch. So yeah, good luck with that. Anyway, Ivan, thank you so much for the £20 super chat there. That's really kind of you. And a trigger warning. So we're going to say trigger warning now. I had an encounter with a Tory on Twitter yesterday. He called me a grade A left wing and something else I can't repeat. And then he said, how dare I blame the Tories for my suicide attempts? Vile man. Oh my God. Ivan, get off Twitter, mate. I'm really sorry to hear that, but like seriously, Twitter is a cesspool right now. It is just horrific, and it's not good for your mental health to be on there, mate. Like, you know, come on here, come on the Discord server, the Politics Social Discord server, Threads even. Just get, please, my friend, get away from Twitter. It's horrible. It's horrible, and I'm sorry that person said that, because they can go and F themselves to death. Alan says, I'm sure they paused it for you. It was just so funny. I'm just like, oh, I'll just sneak out and no one will ever know. And then literally the director is standing there outside the screening room because he was coming in for the Q&A for the end of the film. But yeah, Patsy Stevenson was there as well. Patsy, who she was the feminist campaigner who's been interviewed actually on this channel a couple of times, and she was she's actually in the film, the footage of her being arrested at the Sarah Everard vigil, and Alex Keir was there as well, from Politics X, who's always worth a follow. He does the Sunday roast show that me and Phil and others have been on many times with Maximilian, and yeah, just it was a good crowd, and it's one of these things where it's like, there's not that many of us in this realm, and I'm not big. I'm not up there with a lot of these names that everyone's heard of, you know. But at the same time, you know, it's nice to know that we're working together. We're not just all independently, you know, writing things. Oh God, yeah, look at this terrible things that the US government or Israel or Russia have done today. We're actually, you know, we're in touch with each other and helping each other out. And when someone's got a project that they need promoting or getting out there, we're like, yep. We can help with that somehow. So that's good. And that makes me feel a bit more positive about the future, because God, the film was depressing. Oh my God. You know, like how I was saying about The Substance was like horrific because it's just body horror all the way through. This was horrific in another way. It's got no swearing. It's got no violence. It's just, this is the state of the world right now. And if we continue to let these authoritarian nutcases like Trump and Modi and Bolsonaro in Brazil, who was president of Brazil back, I mean, we had the worst people in charge of some of the biggest countries in the world during the pandemic, the absolute worst people imaginable. We had Trump in America, we had Boris Johnson here, they had Bolsonaro in Brazil during a goddamn global pandemic. And because of those three men and others like them around the world, hundreds of thousands of people who didn't need to die died. They are monsters. They should all be in jail. Or, I don't know, shot to Mars. Another thing about the pandemic is the rich made so much more money. They cleaned up. They absolutely cleaned up. Like, the number of billionaires in this country, like, doubled. And the billionaires, they doubled their money during the pandemic. It was just price gouging and yeah, profiteering. War profiteering, which used to be a hangable offence in this country. But yeah, seems to be all right as long as you know the government. So I'm going to head off now. Ivan's... there you go. Ivan says, he blocked me, the coward. He clearly can't handle being challenged. Yeah, well, Ivan, thank you very much for the super chat. I've got to say, so Elon Musk's latest little bit of lunacy is he's removing the block feature to a certain extent. So while people can still not respond or anything, they can see your posts. This is a bit of a problem for me because for the last 15 years on Twitter, if someone's been mean to me, I've implied that I've got biblical with their mother, and then I've blocked them. So they can't see what I've written, but everyone else can. Yeah, they're going to be able to see what I've written now. And this wasn't just one person I did this to. I did this to many people. One of the many reasons why I can never go into politics, I guess. But, you know, that's yeah, you decide to make a joke at the expense of someone else's mum, and yeah, you're never going to be Prime Minister. Forget about it. Sarah says, I hope you get back for tonight. Oh, thanks, Sarah. Yeah, so do I. I'm planning to get What I'm planning to do, I do the show, and then I'm going to head out to London, and I'm going to try and meet up with Mike Dix from Trumpton, who does the Trumpton animations and cartoons, and hopefully he'll be on the show tonight at 9:30. After Aid is at 7:30. Maximilian at 8:30, and then we're on at 9:30. So please join us for that. And like I say, we're going to be here at 1:00 for the agenda. And yeah, we'll be talking about this a bit more. And I'm sure Phil will be across his brief on like why this stuff is coming out. Like what is it just the tabloids making shit up? Is it people within Labour stirring shit for reasons, personal grudges? Yeah, let's get into that. Nick says exactly this. The papers are against Labour and it's silly season. Silly season seems to be going on for a very long time. I think Phil did a video about this, didn't he? Where he said like, silly season hasn't ended this year because it's just been like they're not used to having a competent government that aren't doing mad things every day. I don't think the budget will be bad. We'll be amazed that the poorest suffer. It's just not Labour's track history, says Nick and Diff. Yes, I hope so. Could be worse, Graham. Imagine the block list Owen Jones has. Well, I'm on Owen Jones' block list. I was blocked by Owen Jones a very long time ago for making a joke about Corbyn. Right, anyway, so I better go now before I get myself into more trouble. I'm just going to sneak off to the toilet. Hopefully no one will notice. I'll be back at 1:00 with Phil. And until then, thanks so much for watching. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks for sticking with us on this channel. And until next time, I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.